Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be talking about CRNA scheduling. A lot of you have asked about what my schedule is like as a CRNA, so today I'm going to be telling you, and I'm also going to be talking about how schedules differ from facility to facility. If you hear any background noise during this video, I apologize. They're doing construction on the building next to ours, and I've been waiting all morning to record. It seems like they went to lunch, so hopefully it's quieted down long enough for me to film this video. I find scheduling as a CRNA much more flexible than my scheduling was as an RN, because as an RN you work usually 12-hour shifts. Some places you can work 8s, and you work either days or nights. It's pretty specific. As a CRNA, there's so many different hours that we can work, and I feel like I have been better able to move my schedule around and switch shifts and hours to accommodate my life outside of work. Let's start out by talking about how schedules differ from facility to facility, because this is an important concept to understand when you're thinking about scheduling. So depending on whether you work in an inpatient facility or an outpatient facility, that will really impact your scheduling. If you work in an outpatient surgery center, a plastic surgery center, a dental office, something like that, your schedule is going to match theirs. So say they're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's going to be your schedule. You may have to stay a little bit after if you're finishing a case or post-oping a patient, but other than that, your schedule shouldn't be too far out of those hours. Now, this will be different if you're working in an inpatient facility, such as a hospital, like where I work. When you're working inpatient, surgeries can be done at all hours. You tend to have emergency surgeries at night or in off hours, and surgeries from the day run into the night. So you'll be working 24/7. Nights are obviously less busy than days, but you do have the potential to work 24/7. So if you're working in an inpatient center like a hospital, you have to keep in mind that your schedule is going to match the hospital's typically, and that is all the time. But that doesn't mean you work all the time. That means that you have the ability to work all kinds of different hours. So let me explain. Really quick, guys, if you're not a member of our More Than Money community, make sure you join. The link will be in the description below. If you're not familiar with it, it's a community that John and I created. We talk about all things money, all things real estate, and all things nursing. We talk about investing, financial freedom, paying for school, getting into CRNA school, really anything you can imagine. It is mentoring, it is community. We do live stream educational classes, and if you're not a member, you're missing out. I promise you'll find value. And I also do resume review and interview prep on there that's included in the membership. So make sure you join. Okay, back to the video. I'm going to start out by telling you about my schedule, and then I'm going to tell you about all the different options you have for scheduling. So my typical schedule for a week has been 3 10s, and that is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's 10 hours, and then one 8-hour shift, which is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So usually I'll work, say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's 30 hours. And then maybe on Thursday or Friday, I'll work 7 to 3, which is 8 hours, and that's 38 hours a week. Some weeks I work 7 to 5 for 4 shifts, so that ends up being 40 hours. I'm not set on exactly having 40 hours every week, so it's okay with me if I go below that. I like to be home for dinner, to hang out with B and hang out with John and put B to bed, so I usually don't work past the 10-hour mark. I do have the ability to work other shifts, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but since I want to be home at night, I typically get off between 5 and 6 p.m. Now, by saying that I work 7 to 5 doesn't always mean I get off at exactly 5, because if I'm in the middle of a case or things are really crazy and there's nobody to relieve me, I'll have to stay at work till that case is done. The latest I've ever been stuck is 7 p.m. when I was a 5, and that was only once. Typically I get off between 5 and 5:30 when I'm scheduled till 5, and some days I even get off at 4 or 4:30 if we're done with everything. Now that I've kind of told you about my schedule, let's get into talking about the different scheduling options for everybody who's working there. So the different kinds of shifts we have are 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., that's 8 hours, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 10 hours, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 12 hours, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 16 hours, and then 7 a.m. all the way till 7 a.m. the next day, and that is 24 hours. We also have call at night, backup call, so there's 24-hour people in-house, but we have call from home. That is from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It's called beeper call. You only get called in if there's an emergency and everybody's busy in other emergencies. I do that beeper call from home about twice a month, and honestly, I've never been called in for it, but I'm sure it's coming. For the beeper call, we get paid a flat rate. I get paid $200 from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. just for being on call, and then if I get called in, I get paid my hourly rate for the amount of time I'm there. Now I want to go into how you can mix up these different shifts to make them fit your lifestyle. If you prefer to work longer shifts and work less days, say you live far away or you want more days off, you can work 24-hour shifts. So that is 7 a.m. like I said till 7 a.m. the next day, 24 hours in-house in the hospital, but then you've knocked that out. So once you've worked that 24 hours, to get to 40 hours, you only have 16 hours left to work. And remember how I said we have 16-hour shifts that are from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m.? Well, you could work one 24-hour shift on a Monday, and then on a Wednesday or Thursday, you could work one 16-hour shift, and then technically you only work 2 days a week. A lot of people like to do that. Now, I probably would like that, except I want to be home at night with B. So if it was just me and John, I probably would like that because then we'd have more days off during the week. But I think it's important, since B's at daycare or school as we call it all day, that I'm home at night, so that's why I don't do that. And one of the great things is you don't have to work the same hours every week. So say one week you work 124 and 116, that's 40 hours, but the next week, say that your kids have sports Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and you don't want to work those shifts, well, you can change it. It's not like you're on a set schedule and that's what you have to work. Of course, I'm referring to schedule requests. You can request to change it. Our scheduler works very hard to give us the schedules we want, so I'm very lucky in that aspect. But say the next week you want to work 3 10-hour shifts and an 8, like how I do. So you get off at 5 and you can go to sporting events. You can do that, and then you can go back to your 16 and your 24 the next week. If you want a more traditional schedule, you can work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's 8 hours, Monday through Friday. That is 40 hours, so you could do that. You can also work less than 40 hours if you want. So you could work, say, 36 hours a week, and you could work 3 12s, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., just like as an RN on the floor. That's a pretty nice schedule, especially if you like the 3 12s, because you don't get off too terribly late. You still kind of have the evening to catch up on things, and you're probably not super exhausted when you get off as you would be if you worked a 24 or 16. As a CRNA, you can work part-time or full-time. The part-time options are similar to that of an RN, so you can work 24 hours a week, 32 hours a week, 36 hours a week, and then 40 hours a week is full-time. You can also work in between. Some hospitals have different agreements, so some places you can work 32 hours, some places you can work 34. So depending on how specific you get on your hours, you could work a combination of different shifts to get to those. So say that you wanted to work 32 hours a week. You could work 2 10s, that's 20 hours, and then a 12, so that's 32 hours. And you could do it that way. You could also break it up into 8s and 10s, 8s and 12s. You can really do whatever you want. And of course, there's always the opportunity for overtime. One question I wanted to answer before I wrap this up is a lot of people asked if you can work night shift as a CRNA. And working primarily night shift as a CRNA would be difficult because at night we really only do emergencies. So most of the people that do work nights are working the 24s. We typically don't have people coming in just for night shift unless one of the 24s is sick or there's an opening, like a gap at night where nobody's scheduled. That's the only time I've ever worked like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. was because somebody was sick and had to go home. So typically, no, we don't just have night shift CRNAs. Maybe at some other facilities they do, but honestly, I've never heard of that. And I know people who work a lot of places because surgeries happen mostly during the day. Surgeries are scheduled for during the day. That's when all the surgeons are around. So working just night shift would probably be hard to find that schedule. But you could work 24s that incorporate night shift, or you could take a lot of night shift call because like I was saying, we have in-call 24s. We have 2 of those at all times in the hospital, 2 CRNAs that work the 24-hour shifts. But then we also have an at-home person, the beeper call I was talking about, which I like to do. So you could technically take a lot of beeper call and that would be almost like working night shift, except you're on call unless you get called in, but you would still have to work your hours during the day that you're scheduled for the hospital. Oh, and one more thing, talking about the flexibility, where I work, our paychecks come out 2 weeks at a time. So our hours are cumulative for those 2 weeks. So if you're full-time, you have to work 80 hours in those 2 weeks, but you don't necessarily have to work 40 hours a week. So if you want to go on vacation or something, you could technically work a lot of overtime in 1 week and then only work 1 shift in the next week, for example, and then you could have the whole rest of the week off and you'd still get your 80 hours, which is the 2 40-hour weeks, and you'd still be full-time. So there's a lot of flexibility there to move stuff around. If you work 60 hours 1 week, then you only have to work 20 hours the next week because you meet your 80. you don't have to split it up evenly 40 and 40. So I just wanted to mention that. And with that, I'll wrap this video up. I hope you found it helpful and insightful. I hope you understand scheduling as a CRNA a little better. I personally love it. I feel like it's super flexible, and I appreciate the ability to switch up shifts and do things to accommodate my life outside of work, because that is very important. If you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And as always, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week.